Now on to an important question, strengths and weaknesses, right? So why should we select you or not select you? And you can again state the same, right? So now, strengths and weaknesses, let's look at it from the interviewer's perspective, right? Why are they asking you this? They want to understand more about you, right? They want to get more points about you, right? So tell me about yourself, why MBA, right? So something else. And they ask you for your strengths and weaknesses. Once they ask you, they want to see as to whether you have assessed yourself honestly, whether you're making up stuff or you are honest, right? Honesty is very important over here. The moment you lie, you lose that trust, right? So check if these strengths are going to be helpful as well, right? When you're listing them, don't just come up with random strengths. Make sure that it makes sense from a B school or a managerial perspective. We look at some of them, right? Now understand how you're going to be working to improve on weaknesses, right? When you're stating a weakness, you need to have an idea. You need to have a plan on how you're working on it as well. Some of you would be wondering at this moment, what do I state as a weakness, right? That's generally a challenging thing. We'll look at this later in this particular video, right? So lastly, your interviewers are going to analyze as to how you're going to fit into this institute, right? With your strengths and weaknesses. This is one of the last points, right? So whether it makes logical sense, they hear more about you and they form an opinion. Now, from your perspective, right, what is it going to be? You're going to be presenting compelling experiences. Another one of those questions where you can come up with your life stories, right? What you've gone through, but in a brief manner. You have an opportunity once again to present successes, right? When it comes to strengths, genuine responses, right? You can come up with over here for the interviewer to connect, right, with you. Will be like, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, okay, you've done this, so on and so forth, right? And once again, structure and present your answers well, right? So that's key over here. Now, can you just come up with bullet points? No, you can't. You have to substantiate them with how you are these, right? How you are these, typically adjectives, and you come up with life experiences to substantiate these objectives. So what can some of them be? I mean, these are things you generally come up with: hardworking, discipline, time management, problem solving, and so on and so forth, right? So you can just take a look at these. There are more. There are a lot more. You can add whatever you are, right? Check. I'm sure you'll be one or two or three of these and build up your the rest of it, and think about instances or experiences which you can add along with it, right? Now keep the answers brief. For instance, if you want to say I'm disciplined, say that I'm extremely disciplined person. I've never been late to work. I have close to 100% attendance in college. If you want to speak about time management, say that I've never been late in a deliverable at work. There's been zero escalation, right? So now let's look at some of the wrong answers you can come up with for your strengths, right? So I've heard some of these, right? Wherein I'm the best, right? It speaks about overconfidence. Now, if you're going to say I'm the best, you're asking for slaughter, right? Your interviewer is going to come up with, come on, speak about a failure in your life, weaknesses, and so on and so forth, right? Don't come up with that. I won a lot of awards, right? I hear this as well, but that's going to be a part of your achievements when they ask you, right? So not over here for the strengths. Some take it very literally and say I'm an energetic person. Physical fitness is something which really matters, not from an MBA perspective, right? So bring it in. So these are some of the wrong answers, and some you cannot state without substantiating them, right? So one is I'm quick at work. So yes. So how? I mean, so what? Right? So are you quick and you make mistakes or not? Right? So that matters. Another way I've heard is I do not make mistakes at all. It's very difficult, right? I haven't come across a single person who has never made a mistake in their lives, right? So substantiate. You can probably say that I make very few mistakes, right? And you explain how as well in a sentence or two. Now on to weaknesses, right? You need to understand that every human has at least one weakness. So those of you who are thinking of saying I have no weakness, that goes out right now. Yeah, you need to state a weakness. It needs to be genuine. It has to sound like a weakness. A lot of people who come up with a safe answer. There's no safe answer over here. The moment you come up with a safe answer, the interviewer is smart enough and has been doing this for such a long time, they know it's not honest, right? So they know that you're faking it or you're lying. And the moment you're lying it, or the moment you hear from an interviewer a point like, it doesn't sound as a weakness for me, that means they're losing trust in you, right? That faith is almost gone. You have to quickly work to restore it. So therefore, come up with an honest answer. It sounds like a weakness genuinely, and show that you are working on it. And lastly, do not speak about a weakness that you have already fixed or overcome. I've heard so many people say that. I used to be this in 10 standard, but now I'm fine. Why do you call it a weakness? We need to hear weaknesses right now. Now on to some of the wrong answers over here, right? The most common one we spoke about. I don't have any weakness. Simply no, you can't see it. I can't say no to anybody. All right, so anybody asks me for anything, I end up doing it. So therefore, I'm not able to focus on my work. No coming up with safe answers. No trying to show that I'm an extremely helpful person over here. I'm a perfectionist. You're a perfectionist, so therefore you look to perfect things. You're not quick. As a perfectionist, you're trying to bring out a positive over there. No being smart over here. All right. I don't know how to be rude when the other person is. Right. So yeah, I mean, how is that such a huge weakness, right? You're again trying to portray to be this extremely nice person, right? That's not going to fly over here, yeah? And again, without substance, do not say points like, I am short-tempered. Are you so short-tempered that you have beaten up people in your family? Yeah, then yes, it sounds like a huge weakness. Everybody is going to say, I'm short-tempered. Every third person I keep hearing this, I'm short-tempered. Explain how. How serious is it? Is it so huge a weakness that you need to overcome? Right? If not, don't come up with that, right? Think about a different one. I don't prioritize work properly, right? It's again a very safe thing. But it could be a genuine issue as well, right? Where it has led to, feedback in your appraisals and so on and so forth. And that's something you have to work on. You try to do the easy things first, or like not the critical ones. And, you have to detail, you have to substantiate. Otherwise, do not come up with these. Now, at this moment, I'm sure some of you would be wondering, hey, come up with an example, all right? So here it is, right? I've picked a scenario, or rather a weakness, which you ideally should not be stating in an interview, right? This is a weakness which could, potentially affect a candidature of a person as well, right? If the wrong interviewer hears this, they're not going to be happy with it. So therefore, let's say a very big weakness, which is I do not pay attention to detail and I've made silly mistakes, right? How to convince the interviewer that it's serious, I'm working on it and it will be fixed. Once again, do not come up with this answer in your interviews, right? But if at all, how do we polish this up, right? Let's look at this. I tend to complete work quickly, and in that process, there have been instances where I have not paid attention to detail and I've made silly mistakes. This has led to errors and issues at work. In fact, this was a feedback I've received in my first work appraisal, and I've been conscious of this and I've been working on it. I would not say that I've completely overcome it, but I trust that I have it at a manageable level and should overcome it in the future, right? So here you're explaining the weakness, yes, and how it has impacted you, and then you're saying that you've been working on it, right? So this would then be a more acceptable thing. Yeah. So that's about it from the strengths and weaknesses. Remember these, substantiate your points. Don't come up with bullet points alone. The second, which is be honest, honesty. It's really, really, really important over here. If you come up with something which they cannot connect with and they feel you're just, coming up with a lie, you're going to lose it, right? So the interviewer's trust is going to be gone. So be honest, right? And make sure it's convincing. Prepare well, therefore, and keep it brief.